Okay, it's time to call to order the Guthrie Public Schools Board of Education special meeting, Thursday, January 24th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Flagg.
Here.
Bennett Johnson.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
Watts.
Present.
Smedley.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Salee.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 6, recommendation, consideration, and action upon change order number 3 for Pope Contracting, Inc. at Guthrie Junior High School.
This change order is on page 3 of your packet. It's relatively small, over $2,600. It was more of the stabilizing the brick. And we anticipate this to be the last change order needed for the junior high. They have got the brick shored up. This was the very last part of it. And recommend approval. And by the way, if you haven't been by to see the new doors at the junior high, they're really pretty cool, I think. So, recommend approval.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we accept the change order number 3 for Pope Contracting, Inc. at Guthrie Junior High School.
Second.
Any board discussion? Roll call, please.
Flagg.
Yes.
Bennett Johnson.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Agenda item 7, consider and take action on resolution authorizing the calling and holding of a special election on April 2nd, 2019, for the purpose of submitting to the registered qualified electors of the Guthrie School District the question of the issuance of general obligation bonds to be issued in series in the sum of $19,250,000 to provide funds for the purpose of acquiring or improving school sites, constructing, repairing, remodeling, or equipping buildings, or acquiring school furniture, fixtures, or equipment, which includes but is not limited to constructing, equipping, and furnishing a new Colorado elementary school, and levying and collecting an annual tax in such district for payment of interest and principal of said bonds.
Pages 5 through 10 is the resolution and the proposition. Mr. Wolf and our bond counsel have reviewed this and presented it for your approval. This provides for the election, the items that we discussed. And I know that there's been a little bit of concern about some of the language, but unbeknownst to me, because we haven't done a bond issue since 2015, the law on what you put in there has changed, and I'm going to ask Mr. Wolf to address that. We have different requirements now and limitations on what we can put in there.
Actually, in 2006, in 2016, there were administrative procedures under the state election board that limited on special elections, that the proposition be limited to 200 words. And so that put a squeeze when it doesn't take, if you look at a proposition, you would think that 200 words is plenty, but it really tightens your ability to put in the proposition the level of detail that that school districts had in the past prior to 2016. But whenever this is filed with the if approved tonight, with the county election board, they will do a word count, and so we try to be as informative in the proposition as possible and keep right at under 200 words. I think we ended up like 195 words in the proposition itself. So the proposition itself is limited to 200 words. Obviously, the information that's part of the proclamation and the resolution defining to a greater degree of specificity in what's called the 70% language, more details obviously included in that information that's accompanying the resolution. That information will also be published as part of the calling of the election, and that information will be available at the county election board for any citizen that would like to see the greater detail. And obviously, it's part of the agenda tonight, so it would be available as your support information on your agenda. So.
That answered my question, because I wondered why we were so detailed at the last one and this one was shorter, and that you...
And when at the last meeting, I forgot that school districts throughout the state are varied in how broad and specific they are. We were intentionally very specific last time, and we intended to be just as specific. The problem is we went 30 to 40 words over the 200-word limit, and if it's one over, they will reject the ballot if they follow the procedures that they were adopted. The intent, according to the state election board, was there was, especially when there are multiple propositions, it was the propositions. The wording was too voluminous, and they felt it was confusing the voter more than it was aiding the voter with extensive amount of verbiage, I guess.
So even though this is a normal school board election, it's still defined as a special election?
Correct.
Okay.
Any action going out, whether it's municipal or county or school district, are considered special elections. And we actually have, we became aware, we weren't aware of the notice. We became aware of that on one of our clients in 2016 and had to adjust accordingly. So we believe that the detail would have been helpful, but
So, yeah, so there's no, I mean, it's, the way it's written now, you stripped it down to the bare minimum, legally what we have to include in there, and then,
it's important. I want this, it's very important that when we look at page 2 of your resolution, we take the information that is the last couple of sentences of that proposition. That's language, that information has to be in there. That took up so many words that I started and probably had 6 or 7 iterations of, can we leave this in, but where do we need to focus? And our last submittal was to address more specifically the largest dollar project in the proposition, and then to keep the reference to what would be done at various other sites to the details of those particular projects, those particular facilities. The language that's in the proposition, you issue your bonds under section 26 of Article 10 of the Constitution. If you read that section, it says you can issue bonds under that section for, and as you look here on this proposition, you see improving schools like constructing, repairing, remodeling, equipping buildings. That is verbiage that's in the Constitution. And so in order for us to ensure that there is no variance from the wording that's in the Constitution, we try to match up the wording almost exactly as close as possible, and so that you ensure that you have a good proposition going before your voters that's been authorized by the state constitution. So.
Any other questions, Mr. Wolf?
So you're saying section 4 is what will be available for the public to go to the courthouse to view?
It will, section 4 will be published.
Okay.
in the newspaper. And it will also be available at the county election board. And then whether avenues, it will certainly be part of what your packet that's online, and can be available in multiple other places, your library and so forth. But that's intended to be available. It just will not obviously be on the ballot proposition, but it's available in those particular locations and or online and anywhere else that you would like to provide that information.
Is there any other questions?
Make a motion.
Do we have a motion
Do I
to?
have to read the whole?
Go for it.
Mr. President, I move that we take action on the resolution authorizing the calling of a special election for the purpose of the, a special election on April 2nd for the purpose of an issuance of a general obligation bonds pursuant to the resolution, the language in the resolution as provided to us by our bond counsel. Is that enough? Is that good? Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Flagg.
Yes.
Bennett Johnson.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes?
Smedley.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, agenda item 8, proposed well, I guess I'll read through this. We don't have to have an executive session tonight unless the board desires that, but I'll go ahead and read the agenda item, and if there's no motion, then we'll move on. So agenda item 8, proposed executive session for the purpose of discussing employment of personnel, FMLA request, resignation, separation from employment, and transfer of position. Request, all as set out on the personnel reports, disclosure of which information would violate the confidentiality requirements of state and/or federal law, all pursuant to 25 Oklahoma statute, section 307, B, 1, and 7. Okay, no motion was made, so we'll move to agenda item 9. Vote on action is set out on the personnel reports. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I move we approve the actions set out on the personnel reports.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Flagg.
Yes.
Bennett Johnson.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes?
Smedley.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Agenda item 10 is...
Mr. President, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Flagg.
Yes.
Bennett Johnson.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes?
Smedley.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.